Hi, my name's Keziah Gibbons, my pronouns are she and her, and I am the founder of the Guided app. This is this week's Community Tarot reading. So I'll talk you through the spread first and then we'll pull some cards. And it's a short spread today with just 4 positions, and it's based on an experience I had this last weekend just gone. So as some of you may know, I've had a couple of weeks off to be on holiday, take a little break after the last few months of creating and bringing to you the Guided app. So I was in Naxos in Greece for some of that time. And on our last day, we were sitting there, we're waiting for the ferry at the port, we're sitting in a cafe, and there's myself, my daughter, and my dad. And as we're sitting there, sort of drinking a milkshake, looking at the boats coming in and out in the port, there was this young lad that was giving out flyers. So we watched him, my daughter and I watched him go up to all the other tables in the cafe and give them a flyer. And a couple of times he sort of looked at our table and I don't know what he saw, but he kind of did this double take and then decided not to come and give us a flyer. So everyone else has got a flyer, but we haven't. So we kind of watched him giving out flyers all over the port for about an hour. At one point, some other kids sort of came and helped him, and they were going to come and give a flyer to our table, and he was like, no, not them. So I don't know why, but he decided not to bring us a flyer. And then eventually he got down to his last flyer, and he decided to brave it, and he came up to our table and he gave the flyer to my dad. So he showed the flyer to my dad, and he was explaining something in Greek, and I'm not fluent in Greek, but I do a little bit of Duolingo before I go on holiday. So I think he was saying that this was an art gallery, and his dad's work was exhibited in this art gallery. And so my dad sort of glanced at the flyer, went, oh, very interesting, and then handed him back the flyer. My daughter and I ended up in fits of giggles because we'd just been watching this lad work up the courage to come and give us a flyer for an hour, and then my dad sort of handed it back rather than sort of just take it. So we found that quite amusing, and then immediately afterwards he saw someone else's, an ambulance pulled up. I don't think it was on an emergency, it just kind of stopped, and he went and he gave the lad gave the flyer to the ambulance guy. He got rid of all his flyers and he could go and play. There were lots of other kids playing in the port, playing football, so he was able to go and join in the game. And so that spread, that experience really has inspired this spread. I said at the time, I'm going to make a tarot spread out of this. And we've got 4 positions for it today. So the first position is the work. In this lad's case, it was giving out the flyers. For you with this reading, this is whatever work you have to do this week. So that can mean your job. It can mean any other thing that you're working on or working with, your work for this week. And then these 2 positions here are the connections made. So for that lad, that was the people who got the flyers and sort of received them and kept them. And connections missed. So for some reason, for whatever reason, we were not destined to have a flyer from this lad. And, you know, it may be that the person who got that flyer eventually obviously is still there. We're not. We've returned home to Portugal. So, and it may be that there's a reason they got the flyer and not us. But whatever, there was a misconnection there. So these 2 positions are about connections made and connections missed. And then the 4th position is play. So, you know, once the work was done, once the flyers were given out, this lad was able to go and play and join in and play with the other kids in the port. So for you this week, that is about, you know, where can you find play this week? It could be that it's after you've done whatever work you have for the week, or maybe you'll find it in your work, I don't know. So those are the 4 positions. And this week I will be using the Light Seer's Tarot by Chris Ann. Okay, so take a deep breath and just go inwards and ask to receive what you need. And if there is something specific you're working with or working through this week, then you might want to bring that to mind. But just open to receiving whatever insight is appropriate for you at this time. Okay. So the first position then, the work. What is the work this week? And we have here the Six of Cups. Look, this is a lovely one. You can see in this card the boy and the puppy and the man and the dog. And so the Six of Cups is often about time, about nostalgia, about the past, sort of looking back into childhood. I also see this as being about connection, you know, the way the past and the present and of course the future as well are connected. So the way what happened in the past affects the present. In terms of this coming up in the position of work, then I would say that this is about the work for this week is to do with the past in some way. So the cups are about emotions. They're the suit of emotions and of the heart. So it may be that there's some emotional work for you to do on things that are affected by the past. Can also be inner child work, or something from the past that's still making an impact for you in some way. So that is the work this week. And with the Six of Cups, I always add there is an invitation here to gratitude. Look at this loving relationship between the human and the dog. Invite that gratitude for especially the loving relationships you have in your life and those that you've had as well. And just appreciate all the moments, past and present. So I would always add gratitude into the mix there. But your work for this week is about the past and how the past affects the present. And of course, if we don't work with the past in the present, and it will continue to affect the future as well. So your question is, how would you like the past to affect the future? And what can you do in the present to make that difference? So that's the work for this week. And then the next position, the next card is connections made. What connections are there to be made this week? And it's a major arcana card. We've got the moon. So the moon is often about intuition and initiation, can often be about cycles. So when this card comes up, you might check what the moon phase is this week and how you might work with that. But it's also very deeply about the unconscious. And you can see here this figure diving into the waters of the unconscious and floating there and possibly dreaming. And you see the light of the moon is reaching them and they are adding their light to the light of the moon. So in terms of connections, then the connections that you can make this week can be about unconscious work. So if we look at that in context with that Six of Cups as the work, then there may be an invitation this week to look at unconscious patterns that come from the past that are having impact in the present. And again, what we do in the present, of course, affects the future and becomes the past for the future. So working with what's happening unconsciously and choosing to consciously connect with the unconscious, and of course we can program ourselves unconsciously. That is a way that you can make connections this week that can have impact. So definitely I would look this week at unconscious work to do with past events that are currently having impact on the present. Magnet doesn't want to play. Let's try another. Okay, and then the connections missed. What connections might be missed this week? And of course, the wonderful thing about tarot is that it doesn't necessarily predict the future, but it does give you an indication as to what energies are around. So if we know what connections are likely to be missed this week, then we can choose to be aware of them as we go through our week and choose whether or not it's appropriate to make those connections rather than miss them. And the card that we've got here is the Seven of Wands. So the Wands is a suit of fire, creativity, and the Seven of Wands is sort of about staying on top. So you see here this person, they're in their own space, they've got these 7 wands pointing at them. So the Seven of Wands can often be about some, not necessarily conflict, but certainly some challenges. The Wands is also about energy, so things that demand your energy in a specific way. And you can see this person's created their own energetic bubble around them, and they've decided to be how they want to be, even while all of these wands are pointing at them. In the context of this position of connections missed, you can see here this figure's actually looking to the side. They're not looking at the wands. So each of these wands represents an opportunity to work with your own energy and the energies around you in a specific way. And yes, that might be challenging. And sometimes we can do wonderful things when we rise to a challenge. So there is an invitation here that, it is up to you whether you create your bubble and look away from the challenges, or whether you choose to engage with them. But there is a possibility of sort of missing the connections if you're not engaging with things that appear to be challenges this week. So that's just something to be aware of. And then finally, the position of play. So where can you find play this week? What is playful? What is showing up playfully this week? And here we have the Three of Cups. I love this card. Look at that, 3 friends together, dressed in amazing, fabulous clothing, in a field of what looks like lavender, which is a lovely, lovely plant to get involved with, watching the stars in the evening sky. So the most obvious interpretation of this and where you can find play is with your mates, with your friends. Go and spend some time with your friends, and allow it to be playful. It doesn't have to be serious. You might be doing some serious work with yourself this week with this 6 of Cups and the moon there and the possible challenges. So spend some time with your friends, not necessarily to work through that, although you can, of course, friends are great for that. But in fact, to get free of all that, to just spend some time pleasurably with the people who care about you, your close friends, particularly the 3 of Cups can be about. And then, awe. Here is this feeling of awe, looking up at the stars, being involved in the universe. So allow yourself to reach that awe, to have a feeling of awe this week. So allow yourself perhaps to have awesome experiences with your friends. I'll give you a brief summary in a moment, but I'd just like to remind you that this Saturday, 22nd of April, is the official launch day for the guided app. So the app's already out, but we're celebrating it on Saturday. And we will be having an Instagram Live launch party. We'll be having a dedication ritual within the app. And we'll also be having a workshop, Foundations of Tarot, which is a beginner's tarot workshop, which is included in the subscription. So anyone who subscribes to the guided app can join that workshop. So please do come and join me for those events. And of course, there are plenty of free meditations in the guided app. So have a look at those as well if you're not ready to subscribe. And when you're ready to subscribe, this is a good time to do it because I'm offering 50% off until the end of April. So please do come and check all that out in the guided app. So to summarise then, the work that you might be invited to do this week could be about unconscious patterns originating in the past. And this is something that you can bring gratitude to, and also The unconscious can help you to find keys. So if there are past patterns that are no longer serving you, doing unconscious work can really help to free you of those, to understand those, and also to choose what patterns you'd like to have, what would you rather have in the future. There may be some challenges this week. It's up to you whether you choose to rise to them or not. You could decide that they're too much and to just tend to your own energy, have your own bubble. At any point, you can turn to the challenges and engage with them, maybe just one of them at a time. And that may help you also to grow. And there may be some connections there that you would have missed if you hadn't risen to those challenges. So that's something to be aware of. And then play is important. The play that we have in life is important as the work that we have in life. And this is an invitation with the Three of Cups there to experience play with your friends. Spend some time with your friends this week, and that's a nice way to relax from any of the serious stuff that you might be engaging with in some way. So that's our reading for the week ahead. Thank you very much for joining me. Do come and check out the other tarot and other resources in the guided app. And if you've enjoyed this reading, if you found it helpful, please do share it with your friends as well. Have a wonderful week ahead.